Evening, Sheba cohort students, and I'm glad you could join us this evening. My name is Attorney Sharon Skyers. I'm here with my sister and law partner, Attorney Shirley Skyers Thomas. We're really excited to be able to discuss some things with you tonight because we know that as entrepreneurs, you have some great ideas, you have great initiatives, and great things moving forward. Only thing we want to do is make sure you do it right so that you can prosper and flourish in all things that you do. So as what we'll be doing tonight is we'll actually be passing the mic.
I love that. So again, good evening, everyone. I'm Attorney Shirley Skyers Thomas. Really glad that you're here. Congratulations on being in the program. You're going to find that it's a wealth of information. I'm told a lot of hard work, but par for the course. Happy that you're here. So our discussion tonight is on why legal support is important for small businesses. So we've been as attorneys for a good number of years. I'll let Sharon start with her background and how we come to be in front of you today. So again, our whole point in having this discussion, because we're probably going to just be talking to each other. We'll be talking to you too, but we're going to be talking to each other. But the whole point in having this discussion is to hopefully get ahead of some of the questions that you may have. And there's going to be an opportunity for you to engage with us during the whole course of the program. But this is just to set some foundation so that you have some information at your fingertips.
Thank you, Shirley. So I have been practicing law for 30 years. I know. I can't believe it either. And during that time, I've gleaned a wealth of information. And I focused some areas, and I've focused on areas of real estate, small business information, counseling for small businesses, personal injury, and other areas of the law. And during that time, we've been able to glean a lot of some good tips for you as business owners on how you should move forward. And what about you, Shirley? Tell me a little bit about your legal background.
So legally, I started in private practice at the same firm with my sister and our older brother, and Sharon and our older brother founded the firm. And after being in private practice for a little while, I went on to operations. So when it comes down to business operations, I definitely feel like I can have an eye with you on practices and how to streamline operations, data sets, and all of that, what that looks like. And then I went on to government relations from there. But again, we're here for the support of your business in particular. So all of our experience combined is great and all, but we want to make sure that this is helpful to you. So our past experience, let's talk about it, Cher.
Some of the businesses that we have been involved with included home health care agencies or staffing agencies. We have a great deal of experience with those. We've done work with schools, establishing schools, charter schools, setups, initiatives, youth programs. We've done those also. Numerous nonprofits that and we say nonprofit, those are businesses with goals to do some type of uplifting or some benefit to society. In addition, many other small businesses. But first and foremost, we are business owners ourselves. So we have that experience, not simply because we've helped other clients, but we have businesses. The law firm is a business, 30 years running a business of a law firm. Shirley will tell you, Attorney Shirley has other entrepreneurial businesses that she has. So all of these tips we're telling you, it's not just we're telling you, but we've experienced them and we've worked through and navigated through some of the pitfalls ourselves.
So when we think about a small business, there could be varying definitions on how you consider a small business. But in the state of Connecticut now, there is this definition, which truly is not a definition. It's crazy. But there's no real standard definition of small businesses. What they do agree on, though, is that it's based on one or more of the following criteria. So a small business, as defined in the state of Connecticut, is based on the number of employees, the annual revenue, and the ownership. So all of those factors, one or more of those factors, are what defines a small business. It can really vary. But again, what we're going to be discussing over the next couple of minutes is not just tips and tricks, but it's ways to thrive as a small business.
Thrive. What's our goal here? You know the goal. What's the goal?
Thrive.
Thrive. Thank you. So it sounds like common sense, but it's not always intuitive concerning why a business would consult with an attorney. Sometimes you have a great idea and you said, hey, let me just get up and running. Let's just start. But there are some very basic things that have to be taken care of. And we always know that the cost of prevention is way better than paying for the cost of a cure. So if you start right, you start with a great foundation, your businesses will get off to a great start and will move forward foundationally in a very positive direction.
So as a caveat, when we think about how sometimes our communities start businesses, we just start. Like, I have an idea, I'm going to put out my shingle, I'm going to go to the corner, I'm going to go tap my cousin, whatever, I'm just going to start. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we shouldn't do that going forward. Maybe we should establish the foundations a little bit better.
Okay.
I know.
That is a very
Right.
good idea. So you can't just get an idea and start. Okay.
So
There should be some legal things we should be doing.
I would think so.
Okay.
I have a couple for you. So a reason in establishing this foundation and laying the groundwork so that you don't have to kind of chase after it after the fact is to mitigate potential legal risks. Risks.
Okay.
Right. To lessen the hurdles that could be encountered over the course of your business life.
So something that they could consider would be maybe they could understand consequences of either lack of legal preparation or having some things in place. Because if your competitor has some things in place and you don't, maybe that puts you at a disadvantage. So that might help you to avoid unnecessary problems. And I got 99 problems. But legal problems should not be one of them.
I really enjoyed that just now. So our Sheba clients, so how it works, again, we are at your disposal. We are here for you in the process of this entrepreneurial program. You are now our client and we welcome you. So the clients that we've dealt with in the past have been in an array of different capacities. So there has been legal entity formation. And when I say legal entity formation, Cher, tell us really quick what that entails.
That could be simply helping you start up your LLC or your partnership agreement. We will get the documents together, file the necessary paperwork with the state of Connecticut so that it will formalize your organization, or it will formalize your legal entity. That will also help with or we can help you with organizational structure. So that's a separate thing. So the first thing is entity paperwork, where we will file it with the state of Connecticut. The second is an organizational structure. So you have some great ideas, but you have a few people doing things. Let's just make the lines of communication very clear. Mm-hmm. Who is in charge, right. Who reports to who, and all of those lines and the way in which your organization will operate. What other things have we done for our Sheba clients?
So when we get together and different businesses are working with separate businesses, there should be memorandums of understanding. There should be agreements in place to say, I'm going to do this, you're going to do that. So we've put those together for our Sheba clients as well. Those are memorandums of understanding and also non-disclosure agreements that really, right. Let's talk about that, Sharon. Non-disclosure.
Non-disclosure. So essentially, what that agreement would entail is it would say that if you're going to be working with another organization or another entity or another business, and you have this great idea, you will have the other entity sign off to say that they will not steal your idea or take your idea or use it for themselves. They will not disclose it to anyone else, especially while you're building your brand.
That's perfect. A couple other areas that we've been able to help our Sheba clients in are leases, just general property leases, and business contracts. So there might be a slew of different ways that you create the product and you put it out into commerce. We want to protect that. We want to help you protect that. So starting with how you are existing in your space, what those leases look like. Oh man, okay, I'm not going to get ahead of myself because we're going to talk about that in a second. But business contracts. In addition, what about some of the keys to our businesses, which are our personnel? How do we deal with the personnel, Cher?
It's important, as you all know, to have solid hiring practices, to understand the difference between an employee and an independent contractor. What are our responsibilities under both when we have those type of people working for us? So we will help you to support and advise as it relates to those. We want you to do well and not to get caught up with the wrong classification of employees. And finally, we always talk about the great idea. We can help to advise you on protecting your idea, protecting your intellectual property with your copyrights or your trademarks of your ideas, of your logo, etc. So there's a lot to do, but we're happy and we are here for you in any capacity. So what we put together is a little case study. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start the first one, and Shirley can talk about the second one. We're going to call this one the non-compliant nonprofit. So in this instance, this company was set up as a nonprofit. The owners worked diligently in the community. The owners were never compliant in filing of any reports. Even though they had a great reputation in the community, ultimately they lost their nonprofit status. And what happened after that? They had to start all over again from the beginning. And they were rendered ineligible for government funding and not able to leverage their years in business. So why that's important is because you have a track record of doing well in the community. You could build upon that for funding, for collaborations, but because they lost their status, they had to start all over again. So here's a question to you. What should they have put into place and when? So since we don't have our students to answer the question, Shirley, what should they have been put into place?
So I'm going to take the information that you gave me and summarizing it. We have a nonprofit organization who had many years in business, right? Yes. And because they didn't do what they need to do with their documentation and the reporting, they lost it. Yes. Okay, so I think off the bat, they should have filed their reports.
File the reports.
Okay. All right. Was I right about that?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think another one, too, they definitely should have consulted with legal counsel, so that they could be able to get their documentation on track if they needed assistance. It would have been great to capitalize off the years in business. Wasn't this around COVID-19 too, Cher?
Yes. So in this instance, there was funding, there were grants in place for businesses, but when they looked them up, there was a non-compliant nonprofit. So we don't want that to be any of our Sheba clients. Shirley, tell me about the next case study.
This one we call basically a handshake. basically a handshake. So, the story behind this case study is that it was a small business and they were doing so well. They had been growing and expanding, and they wanted to acquire another small business. All right. So the owners had a one-page, not detailed agreement on their acquiring of this new business. So I'm going to call the first business Business A. I'm going to call the business that they acquired Business B. So Business A had a one-pager, and they put it together. They presented it to Business B. Business B accepted it. It wasn't detailed. It didn't have a lot of information. It was basically a handshake. All right, what it was, as we know, sometimes our community and people of color and folks coming from the diaspora, such as us, sometimes we engage in business a little differently. Sometimes we're very trusting of our fellow entrepreneur. We're very trusting of our other business people. And this was the case here. And these were island folks who decided that the handshake was sufficient. So, Business A allowed Business B, no, I'm saying that backwards. Business A moved into the space of Business B, and they started operating. They continued their agreement, and they kept on with business. The Business B acquired business, and the new partners took everything. They took their clients, they took their business, they took their ideas, and they ran with it. They started their own business after that, leaving Business A with nothing. So Sharon, the question, what should the owners, Business A, what should they have done?
Well, first, before acquiring any business or going into anything like that, they should have consulted an attorney. That's number one. Number two, they should have had a detailed contract outlining the roles and responsibilities of each party. Secondly, they should have had a detailed job description. Who is doing what in which capacity? There should have been a covenant not to compete.
Talk about that really quick. Talk about that.
Essentially, it's an agreement saying, yes, you're coming into my space, but after if you decide to leave and start a business similar to this for a certain, with some specifications, you're not allowed to do that. And if you do, we have a contract to show that you're not allowed to do it, and we can go after you legally for those things. Again, we talked about non-disclosure agreements, which say that you can't take our ideas or our plans for yourself. Confidentiality agreements should have been in place. Business agreement, partner sharing agreements, lease agreement, and the list can go on. But you kind of get the idea that there should have been a lot of legal work done for something of this capacity to protect Business A. So as you see, business legal support is very useful when it comes in the area of, number one, business formation. Number two, contracts with other parties. They can be small contracts, they can be big contracts, but we need the agreements to be clear. For example, you may want to work with a vendor. You may have tenants, rental property, purchasing of materials or bulk materials, working with outside services, other collaborators, all of those things, that you need useful and legal support is important. So tell me, Shirley, that's as it works with logistics of running the business. Is there anything at the core of who this business is that would be important to protect?
So, as we're sharing all of this information, I hope you hear your own business. I hope you hear the stories of your own business as coming into your mind as we're talking, because we're intending, and legal support is here to protect you. So right as we think about our businesses, I think about who are my clients in my client lists, and how do I protect that? Who are the employees that I'm working with, or the connections or the collaborators I'm working with, and how to protect that. I'm thinking about trademark. I said that wrong. Copyright and trademark. You know, like how Nike has their swoosh, right? So you're thinking about protecting your swoosh, whatever it is that your swoosh is. We need to protect that. Um, Special recipes and formulas. Colonel Sanders
There you go.
and all of his spices. I don't even remember how many spices he has, but
Krabby Patty.
the Krabby Patty. Protect the recipe and the special formulas. Exactly. I know. We have children, right? So we get that SpongeBob reference. But again, the point is not just to protect the way that you go about business, but to protect you. And you are infused in your business and you are your brand. Some may object to that, but as you put yourself out there is now a reflection of you. So we want to protect you and your brand.
We already mentioned a few things, but we can't overemphasize that's important for your business operations. So business formation, and maybe it's a sole proprietorship.
What is that?
It's when you have the business, you're the only person, and there's no formalized agreement with any other person, but you're operating maybe a DBA, or maybe you're operating a small business from your home, but it's still a business. And so just understanding the implications of that. Partnership could be an agreement with another person, and where you're going to share your expenses and share your profits also. We talked about there could be an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation. There are many people who start those. Those are very simple. It gives you the formality of a corporation and as a separate legal entity, but it kind of operates almost like a partnership too if you have another person. And an LLC is it helps for how you move your business forward. It limits your liability between you, the individual person, and having another business. And then there are other corporations. It could be a C corp or S corp. But when it comes to those specific designations, we do recommend that you get with your accountant or CPA so that you will help to choose the best C corp or S corp for your own needs. So, Shirley, what's next?
Now, as we're talking and we have been engaging, going from who you are as a business owner to how you can be protected, we want to just now summarize lessons learned. So if there's nothing else that you take from us in this time that we're spending together, we want to make sure that we're able to drill down lesson learned. So we want you to walk away with 2 takeaways. Takeaway number 1. We share this in our examples in our case studies. 1. Service agreements should be reduced to writing. Exactly. Pen and paper, email. We prefer that you get legal representation to take care of that for you. But if nothing else, have some sort of writing that can now leave a formal trail of what you've intended to do. So, for example, that contractor did work. Oh, no, it's not even that contractor. It's a different example. There was a contractor that did work without a scope of services agreement. He didn't say, I'm going to do this. You should expect that. He didn't do any of that. The client did not pay. So the contractor was trying to enforce this documentation. But guess what? There's no documentation to enforce. So if the client doesn't pay, now what? Now we have a challenge. So that is 1. Reduce everything, all your agreements, to writing. And number 2.
Number 2. Make sure you have the proper business format. So if you're a nonprofit but you never filed for your 501c3, that's a more in-depth conversation that we can have with the nonprofits, but it's essentially a designation to allow you to get tax exemptions for your people who give donations, and you can be eligible for a number of things. But you want to make sure that all your paperwork is in order, because you do not want to have any type of deficiency when it comes time when the money is available.
So I have one more thing to add, Cher.
Yes.
As we shared with our Sheba students, we are in a family business. There might be an inclination to have a lot of handshakes in a family business. What's your suggestion? So many people, we work with our families, we work with our kids, we work with our parents, we even would just work with friends. What's your suggestion on how to protect your business in a really casual and comfortable situation? What's your suggestion?
Again, we should just, it's a good practice to have everything reduced to writing, so that it can be very simple. It's not that we don't trust our siblings or family members, but it just prevents any miscommunication or any problems down the line, as long as we know what to expect. It's just a better business practice. And what we want to do for the students, for the Sheba students, is to give you your best practices, and to help you so that you can what?
Thrive.
Thrive is the word. Okay. I hope that this has been informative, and even a tad bit entertaining, but more informative. And so you could always reach Attorney Shirley through her information that should be on the screen right now. And we welcome speaking to you about your business needs. So we want to connect, and we can do that through the Calendly app. So if you haven't had a conference yet, please sign up. We welcome to talk to you. Thank you so much. Any last words, Attorney Shirley?
So that ding just went off, and it wasn't even timed, but I think it's time for us to wrap up. Yes, please let us know how we can be of service to you, how we can connect with you, how we can support you. The Calendly link should have been sent to every participant, so please just click on it at the time that's convenient for you. We get to have a one-on-one, a virtual one-on-one. We get to know your needs, and then we will just continue to support you and have these one-on-ones during the course of our time together as in the Sheba cohort. So again, we're so happy to be able to be in this space to serve you. We look forward to connecting with you. And what's the word, Cher?
Thrive. And one last thing. You have the availability of the attorneys while you're in the program, so please take advantage, because when the program is over, your access will not be as open to the attorneys as before. So thank you so much. Have a great evening and thrive. Thank you.